Welcome to Sumita Roy's English classroom. This is Professor Sumita Roy. Today we have a video on speaking English because most of you are writing in the comment that you can understand, you can read and write, but you cannot speak. For all of you, I would like to suggest that you must speak every day. Practice speaking every day. That is important. Today, the topic for us is introducing our friends. We shall take a few category of friends and introduce each one of them. Different people might be able to use these different category of friends. You can add to the list your own friends. But before we begin, you must remember to do all the 5 things which I tell you. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed yet. Watch all the videos. There are more than 70 videos now. Every one of them teaches you something about bettering your English. Please watch the videos completely, like them, and also put your comments. It is wonderful for me to see that you are saying good morning, ma'am, or good morning, or thank you. But I would like a comment which you use your English to write. Just writing good morning or thank you is no practice for your English. Writing the comments is English practice for you. So please do that. Of course, share the video with everybody who is interested in learning English. Now let us come to the topic, and that is introducing our friends. I'm happy that introducing my family and me has many views. I would like you to also introduce other people. Suppose you bring your friend home, then you introduce your friend to the people at home. You go to a party, you have a friend with you. You introduce everybody in the party to your friend whom you have taken along. You might meet somebody who asks about your friends. Then you introduce your friend. Usually, students are asked by saying, "Who is your friend?" So they describe their friend. How they describe the friend is what we are going to do today. So we have different categories of people and different kinds of relationships. Already the video of relationships is there. You can see that and see what all your friends might fit into which category and how you will introduce them. Now you have, somebody says, "Who is this with you?" So you say, "This is my friend Anita." So the introduction, "This is my friend Anita. We are colleagues in the same organization, in the same office. We are colleagues in the same office. Anita is an IT professional. She is a software engineer." All these descriptions you can give about her. You can also say, "Anita lives close to the place where we work. She travels to work in a car." Means of transport, we shall do a video on that. But now she comes to office in her car. She lives close by. Anita is very interested in sports. She is tall and well built. Now you're giving description of how Anita looks. She is tall and well built. We have done adjectives. Now see, I have used 2 adjectives here. She used to be a basketball player in her college days. She used to be a basketball player in her college days. So you're talking about her past. She represented her college in many matches and won much admiration from people. Nowadays, because she's very busy with her job, she does not get time to play basketball regularly. But whenever she has some free time, she teaches some youngsters near her house how to play basketball. So that is her hobby. She teaches youngsters how to play basketball. We often spend time together whenever we are free. So you and Anita are friends. So you spend time together whenever you're free. During the lunch break, both of us usually go to the canteen together. So it shows that you eat lunch in the canteen every day. So whenever you have no work at that time and she also has no work, both of you go to the canteen. Sometimes during the weekends, we go for movies together. Sometimes during the weekends, we go for movies together. So, in this way, you can go on adding sentences to introduce a real friend. Here, I'm giving you some imaginary friends, but you can talk about some real friends also, your own real friends, you practice with them, and then you find that your fluency is increasing. You might make some mistakes, but please remember that there is no harm in making mistakes. I have already prepared a video on how to correct some mistakes. I gave 10 errors which were made in the comment section of the videos, and I showed you the correct form. If you learn from this video, then you will be able to spot your own mistakes. I will make such videos, many of them, if you are interested. And then you will be able to correct your own mistakes. Let us now talk about a second friend. I'm assuming that you can all think of your own friends in this way. You say, this is Girish. He was my childhood friend. Now, childhood friend means before going to school, you have some, in the 2, 3 years old children, they all play together. So here is Girish, who is my childhood friend. Now he's a doctor. He practices in a clinic which is in the new part of the city, the new town or the new city. He is a very well known cardiologist. Cardiologist is a person who looks after your heart health. So, your friend Girish has now become a famous doctor and he's a cardiologist. Doesn't matter who you are because you were childhood friends. You might have taken another field, the friend has taken another field. So, you are introducing the friend like this. You say that Girish was a very good student in school. He won a scholarship to do his medicine. Medicine is the degree you need for becoming a doctor. He also went abroad to do his higher studies in medicine. But he came back to his own city and started practicing in a clinic. Girish also does some private practice when he has free time. Since we are childhood friends, Girish always helps me and my family when we need a doctor. So he might give a reference if you need a doctor who looks after some other part of the body. You need a specialist. So Girish might give you the address of the specialist because he's a famous doctor. He has all friends. Or he might also give you references by saying that I will talk to such and such a person, you go there. So Girish is very helpful. Although Girish is very busy usually, but his hobby is traveling. Now you're giving introduction to Girish as a person. He and his family love to travel to different parts of India. Girish's wife prefers to go to the sea coast. His children prefer to go to the mountains. And Girish himself likes historical monuments. Now, see, travel. So much is said about travel. So, Girish wants to go to historical monuments. His wife prefers the seaside, and his children want to go to the mountains. So, every year they go to one of these places so that every third year they get a chance to fulfill the requirements of one part of the family. Girish's family and my family often meet together and go for picnics. Picnic is a single day excursion. You go out, you eat something, you cook something, and then you enjoy the whole day playing some game, etc. So that is a picnic. So you say, Girish's family and my family, we often go together during the weekends for a picnic. So much you have said about your friend Girish. Now we come to another friend. Here is a college student who is talking about his or her friend. So you say, meet my friend Pinky. We stay in the same hostel. So you are hostel mates. You are not classmates, you are hostel mates. Since you study in the same college, you are college mates. So you say, meet my friend Pinky, who is my hostel mate. She stays in room number 201, which she shares with two other girls from her own class. I stay in the next block and my room number is 305. I also share the room with two other classmates. Pinky and I became friends on the first day when we took admission in this college. Pinky is a hostel mate, so they became friends on the day they came to the college. They came for admission. Pinky had come with her aunt, and I had gone with my father. Pinky's parents do not live in this city. Therefore, Pinky stays in the hostel. After I got admission into this college, my parents also went away from this city because my father was transferred. Therefore, I too joined the hostel. After that, Pinky and I spend a long time together whenever we are free. Pinky is very good at art and crafts. Sitting next to a person, she can draw that person or sketch with a pencil. She can also teach the hostel girls many things like embroidery, knitting, stitching, and crochet, etc. I like Pinky's talents, and I hope someday I will learn everything which she knows. So here you have introduction to a hostel mate, to a person who is staying in the same hostel in a different block, studying a different subject, and but became your friend from the first day of college. You can think of such a situation. If you are a student, you can think of this situation. If you are working, then you say, you know, like we had Anita, where they both are IT professionals working together, colleague. Suppose you have a friend who is working in a different field, like, he or she is an entrepreneur, not in your field at all. That also can be your friend. You can say that this girl, Nilli, Nimmi, is my friend. She has a food processing entrepreneurship. She takes the help of women who do not have much education but who are good at making pickles and preserves. She has a small 3-room factory where they prepare the pickles, they pack them, and they sell it to small stores or small shops. My friend wants to sell her products to the supermarket when she expands a little. But for expansion, she needs money. She has to take a loan from the bank, but she does not have anything against which the bank will give her a loan. Therefore, she wants to expand her business a little more so that it is impressive enough for the bank to give her the money. I have tasted her pickles and they are very good. Now you can do some selling for her. If you are looking for some good fresh pickle, you can buy it from this address. I will give you her phone number and you can talk to her. See how you have introduced a person who's not your colleague, who's your friend, but who is also doing some business of her own. She has a small startup. She is helping people who need some help. And that way, introduction is good. Now you come to a small child who's studying in a school. So the child is usually asked, do you have friends in school? So the child says, yes, I have many friends. Or describe your friends in school. So the child describes one friend. Then the child says, my best friend is Chintu. Chintu and I study in the same class. We sit in the first bench together. If I reach early, then I wait outside for Chintu. My mother drops me to school and Chintu comes walking on his own. Once we meet near the gate, we walk together to class. Whenever there is some test, we study together. That is called combined studies. So Chintu and I study together whenever there is a test. If I miss school any day, then Chintu helps me with all the lessons which happened on that day. If I miss school, then Chintu helps me to learn whatever I missed. I also help Chintu if he is absent. Chintu and I share our lunch boxes during lunch break. He usually brings bread and butter. I bring rice. So we have a little rice, sharing from my box, and some sandwiches sharing from his box. Chintu and I also play together when school is over, because my mother comes after an hour when she finishes her office. So I have to wait for 1 hour after school. Chintu stays with me for 1 hour and plays till my mother comes. Then he walks home and I go home with my mother. Sometimes my mother invites Chintu to come to our house. When Chintu comes, my mother prepares very nice, tasty dishes, and both of us enjoy eating those. So, this is a description of a young child talking about a classmate. You can add many more items to this. You can add many more ideas to this. You can change the kind of friend you have, or you can describe two, three friends. All these are imaginary, what I'm telling you. Now we come to another of the descriptions, and that is a couple, Mr. and Mrs. Das. Meet Mr. and Mrs. Das, who are our new neighbors. So now we have gone, colleagues we have seen, childhood friend we have seen, hostel mate, classmate, then entrepreneur. Now we come to new neighbors. So the description is for new neighbors. I hope all of you who have difficulty in practicing English or speaking English, please repeat these sentences on your own and then add some more sentences. You can add your own neighbors here instead of talking about the imaginary neighbor which I'm saying. Mr. Das was in the army, but now he has retired and he has moved to this city. Mrs. Das was a teacher in the army school. She has also retired, and both of them have moved to our building. They have taken a flat on the 5th floor. Mr. and Mrs. Das are very friendly. As soon as they moved into our apartments, they came and met all the neighbors one by one. They introduced themselves and then they invited us to their house for tea. All of us visited their house, which is very beautifully decorated. Mr. and Mrs. Das have 3 children. 2 of the boys are in the army, and the girl stays abroad after her marriage. The son-in-law has a job in the diplomatic services, so he is posted to different countries of the world. When there is a festival, the children are expected to come and visit the parents. Mr. and Mrs. Das have told us that During the new year, all the children and their families would visit them. Then they planned to have a big get together in the community hall of our building complex, and already they have invited us to that. They said that we can meet their children and their grandchildren when they come for the holidays. All of us are very happy that Mr. and Mrs. Das have become our neighbors. We feel that to have such nice neighbors is very good fortune. They are willing to help anyone, whoever needs their help. That is how neighbors should be. So we all warmly welcomed Mr. and Mrs. Das by giving them a nice welcome party. All the people in the complex gathered and gave them a wall clock as a gift for their new house. We had very good things to eat, delicious local food, which Mr. and Mrs. Das enjoyed. In this way, we live in a community where we have many neighbors who are as nice as Mr. and Mrs. Das. So you see, this is an introduction to a neighbor, not a friend, but a person who was a stranger, or a couple who were strangers. Now they have come to your colony and you have made friends with them. So it is the process of making friends. So introducing your friends, introducing people whom you know, is a wonderful art. As I told you, whenever you introduce, you always tell the name of the younger person or the person who is in a lower position to the other person first. And then, suppose you are introducing Mr. and Mrs. Das to your children, then what would you say? You say, Mr. Das, please meet my son, or please meet my daughter. And then you give your daughter's name by saying, this is Neha and this is Nikhil. Please meet my children, Neha and Nikhil. So you give their introduction first. Then you say, children, please meet uncle and auntie. Please meet Uncle Das and Auntie Das. Because their first names you might not know. They are new. In this way, you have to remember. Similarly, in an office, if you're introducing somebody, suppose you've taken your friend or colleague to your office, then you are introducing it to your superior. Then what you do is you say, Sir, may I introduce my friend to you? And then you introduce Sir by saying, this is our team leader and his or her name is so and so. We never introduce the senior person first. Like that also, I told you that already, that if you take the students take their parents to school, then they don't introduce the teacher first. They introduce the parents and then they say, this is my teacher, or this is my headmistress, or this is my principal. Like that, the introduction is done. So the ability to introduce people is very important. You have learned how to introduce your family, and now you have also learned how to introduce your friends. Start introducing people. Suppose you want to introduce a stranger, then you have to ask that person to tell you something about himself or herself. Suppose you invite a person to your office to give a speech or to make a presentation. You don't know who this person is. So you say, can you write a few sentences about yourself? That person will write. I already told you in a video how to introduce yourself. So that person gives name, qualification, experience, designation, everything. Then, when you introduce this person, you look at that paper and then you introduce by saying that we have with us such and such a person. So, the ability to introduce friends is the first skill. Learn it in speaking, and then comes the second skill, and that is introducing strangers. Suppose you are introducing people who are famous. You don't have to ask them, you already know them. So you introduce. We shall do videos on all of them, but please practice all these sentences. If you have problems of speaking, you must repeat the sentences. Watch the video many times if you require, but please repeat each sentence, then you get fluency. Repeat it loudly, then you are able to get confidence. Some are saying they're getting jobs. I feel so happy. Please practice. You will learn a language very easily, but only through practice. So don't forget the 5-point formula I gave you. Subscribe, comment, like, watch fully, and share. Thank you and all the best.